Hey y'all, welcome back to my garden. I'm here in Central Texas, Zone 8B, and it is coming up on the end of July and it is hot. I was out here this evening, it's about 7 o'clock, it's still 95 degrees, just looking at, let's see if I can point to it, one of my Salvia farinaceas, just enjoying and admiring how good it looks despite the weather. Definitely is holding up better than I am in these temperatures. And I thought I would put together a quick video to talk a little bit about some things that you can work on in your garden, even when it's too hot to be planting. It can be frustrating, especially if you're a new gardener, because you want to be out here and you want to do stuff, but the stress on your plants just isn't worth it. The stress on yourself just isn't worth it. It's just too hot. So, coming out in these little, kind of 15 or 20-minute increments, working on things slowly but surely getting stuff done is kind of my vibe for July and August every year. And I thought I would share 6 of the things that I like to do this time of year, maybe give you some ideas, things you can do to be a little bit more productive, still feel like you're moving forward, getting your garden together, and beating the heat. Okay, I'm back, and I thought I would take a seat to go through my list because I don't know if you guys noticed when I was talking, I almost killed myself. I stepped in a little bit of a hole and kind of got a little jolt. So I figured it would be safer if I'm going to be looking at the camera to just kind of stay in one spot instead of walking and talking. But yeah, so we're talking about 6 things to do to get some work done in your garden, even when it's like super hot and you shouldn't be planting stuff, but it's also too hot for you to be out for long periods of time. I know for me specifically, the older I get, the less likely you're going to find me out in 95-degree temperatures for, an hour or 2 hours without a really, really good reason. And while I love my garden, it's not a good enough reason for me to put myself through that. So we had such a mild beginning of the summer, really beautiful spring, lots of rain. So, everything is flourishing and looks really good. And, I kind of got that momentum. So you want to come out and you want to work on it, but it's just too hot. It's too hot for your plants. It's too hot for you. And it's just not worth it to come out here and, get heat stroke working in your garden. So I like to take, 15 or 20 minutes almost every day. I'm out here either working on some projects kind of in incremental steps, or sometimes just, doing kind of a walkabout and seeing what's going on and making some plans for the future. So I wanted to specifically talk about 6 things that I personally do in the summertime. And maybe it'll give you some ideas of things you can work on to get yourself, kind of set up for fall, still feel productive, like you're getting some stuff done. So let's just go ahead and jump in. The first thing is propagating plants. So I made a video about this a few weeks ago, and I'm going to put a link to it below, so go check that out. But coming up in October or maybe even early November, depending on when the temperatures drop for us, because you never really know. It could be 100 on Halloween. It's happened before. But I want stuff to put in the ground, and I don't want to have to pay for it. And I've got a lot of stuff already in the ground that I want more of. So propagating plants, so easy. It's one of those things that I think people think is a lot harder than it really is. But stuff is in bloom right now. You've got a lot of new growth, so it's the perfect time to, kind of take those snips off of your plants, or, your friends, your neighbors. They've got something that you like, ask them if you can just have a little snippy snip and, throw it in some dirt. In my video that I'm posting below, I did 24 propagations in, 15, 20 minutes. It did not take time at all. And if I hadn't have been yapping during my video, it probably would have been even faster. And this is going to get you set up for fall, because you're going to have plants that are rooted, that are ready to be put in the ground. Just, keep them in a shady spot and you'll be good to go. So number 1, if you're going to do anything this summer, look at propagating some plants. Okay, so number 2 is prepping your garden beds. And I am not talking about digging out grass and leveling and things like that. I'm talking about the easy stuff. I'm talking about cardboard sheet mulching, lasagna method, whatever you want to call it. I did talk about this a little bit in a video I did about planting my bat face cufia. I showed you a little bit of my mulching method, literally just taking your cardboard that you're going to get for free from Sam's or Costco or wherever one finds cardboard. I don't know where that might be for you. Putting it on the grass, yeah, giving it a weed whack or a mow, putting it on the grass, weighing it down with some rocks, and you're going to kill what's there. You're going to kill the grass. You're going to start to get some, it's going to break down. It's going to, act like a compost for your soil. So if you're looking at expanding a current bed or creating a new bed, you're not going to be able to plant it till fall, but wouldn't it be great if your bed was already ready, already had some good compost in it, and it was ready to go? And again, this is one of those things that is easy. You get your cardboard, slap it on the ground. I mean, I can't imagine it would take you longer than 15 minutes to lay out, a couple of 100 square feet of cardboard and put rocks on top of it. But yeah, after a couple of weeks, you should probably have killed most of what's underneath it. Maybe not Bermuda grass, definitely not nut sage. I'm not going to promise you that. But you'll be well on your way to having a nice bed that you can plant in the fall. Number 3, this one's deadheading and mulch. It's an important part of maintenance and something we might kind of forget to do. A lot of times before I really knew what I was doing in my garden, I would see, the blooms start to fade, start to turn brown. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess it's dead. Now I know better. And I know that if I pick those spent blooms off, there's a good chance I'm going to get another flush of flowers. So that's something you can do, a couple minutes each day. If you're doing a little walkabout, just snip them off, and you can either, pop them off with your finger, come out and, be professional and use your clippers if you need to, but it doesn't have to be anything you really think about, but you're going to get more flowers producing on probably most of your plants if you deadhead. Mulching. And this sounds harder than what I mean, like a lot of what I'm talking about. Especially because we've had so much rain this year, you probably have some low spots or high spots in your yard. And, mulch is just one of those things. It's never just a one and done. You always need to continuously update and level off your mulch. And what I like to do is every time I go to HEB, I pick up a couple of bags of mulch and come out and I throw it in the yard. And it's not, I'm not getting a ton of mulch dropped off on my driveway to go shovel and get out the wheelbarrow and all that. No. We're not doing that. It's too hot for that. I'm doing very small incremental mulching method. So, a couple of bags of mulch every week ends up making a huge difference in your garden by the end of the summer. So mulching is a great thing to do. And you probably have some bare spots right now that you can see that you're like, oh, I could just throw like 2 bags of mulch and I would be pretty good. But look in your garden, see where you might need some mulch and throw it in there. Super, super easy. Okay, so number 4 is hardscaping. Step back, light hardscaping. Actually, probably more like hardscape maintenance. There are probably areas in your hardscape that you've been kind of ignoring. You walk by that, patio that's got a little bit of maybe some mildew and some green mold on it. It was a really rainy spring and summer, so I think all of us have it. Maybe give it a quick power wash, or sweep your patio, get the cobwebs out of your pergola. There's all kinds of things you can do to your hardscape that won't take a whole lot of time, but will really make a big difference. And again, it's about those incremental steps to kind of getting things done and being productive. You'll see back here, this is my big bed that I've been working on. You can see I've got metal border right here, and then I've got some rocks that aren't fully to the fence yet. And what I'm actually doing is I'm taking some border rocks from another bed and I'm putting them here. This bed is what we look at when we are sitting on our patio. It's, kind of the biggest focal point. So it just makes sense to have it, kind of have the fun border that's gonna, kind of have that visual impact. And the bed I'm pulling them from, I'm actually putting something else there, but I'm expanding it and blah blah blah. That'll be another video that we'll talk about later. But these rocks are freaking heavy, y'all. They're like 25, 30 pounds, some of them, and they're big limestone rocks, and um, it's a lot of work to move them. I've got to kind of dig out a little area. I've got to pull the weeds, and then I have to dig out the rock from where I'm getting them, and then I have to put it down. If I was going to do that, at once, it would just be backbreaking work, and I'm just not up for it. It's too hot. I'm not going to do it. So instead, whenever I'm feeling a little energetic, I'll do 5 or 6 rocks at a time. So in a week I can get 25 rocks done, and it's only going to be another week or so before I completely finish this border, and it'll be done. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. There's also things you can do, like fixing your sprinkler heads if you've got a wonky sprinkler head, or maybe you want to add a line to your sprinkler system, or you want to add drip irrigation to your maybe your potted plants. I mean, there's all kinds of things like that that you can do that are pretty low effort, but just kind of keeps things going, and is important. It's stuff you have to do anyway, so do it now and do it in these like little short periods of time. And it just kind of goes back to the slow and steady wins the race, right? By the end of the summer, you're going to have all these little things that are done, and you're going to really appreciate that they're all done. So okay, number 5, and this maybe should have been number 1 now that I'm thinking about it. But number 5 is document and plan your garden. Over the years, as we've been in our house, I've planted stuff. Some of it's done really well, some of it's done really poorly. I wish I had documented more of it. I have a couple of pictures here and there, maybe on like an old phone or something, but I don't have any written records. And I'm not a type A by any stretch of the imagination, but I wish I had kept more information about what I was doing in my garden all those years. So I'm taking the time this summer. I'm actually going around and I'm writing down everything that's in every bed that I have. And at the end of the summer, I will know, what did well and what didn't. And just as a side note, by the way, this is just a side note, this is an important tip. When I buy new plants, I have finally learned not to buy 5 or 6 of the same plant if I've never had it before, because I don't know how it's going to do in my garden, right? So I typically like to buy one plant. I will put it in the ground. I will see how it does for a season. If it does well, I'll buy more of them. Don't waste your money buying a ton of plants if you don't know how well they're going to do. Even if something says, even if it's a native, if you don't have the right soil, if you don't have the type of sunlight that maybe you think you do, if the plant just doesn't like where you put it for one reason or another, you're going to waste so much money buying all these plants at once. Be patient, buy one plant at a time. So that's my side note, my tips. Sometimes I see a squirrel and I have to chase it. So there you go. But yeah, write down what you have. And, it's also a good time not only to write down what you have, but write down what you want. You're obviously watching this video, you're probably watching others, you're probably looking at, Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center online and, saying, oh, that's so beautiful, or I love this combination. Write it down, because I know for me, if I don't have it on a list, if I don't have it, I keep just a list in my notes on my phone of the plants that I love and where I might put them. And that way, when I'm at the garden center and they have something that I know I've been looking for, I can check my list. I'm not buying stuff I don't need. Looking at you, Bulbine, because I have been led astray by you way too many times. But I'll get something that I know I want in my yard, and it just makes it kind of fun, because you can kind of go through and you can check. I do like checking things off a list. You can check things off your list of things that you've bought, and look for things that are on sale. Or again, I am all about getting clippings from neighbors and friends and family. So I have a blue plumbago. I got a clipping from a neighbor on my neighborhood Facebook group, and it's doing great this year. And I had it on my list, so there you go. Also, dream a little. What are your future plans? What do you want to do in your garden? And make sure you're writing all that down. Taking photos, also very important. At least to me, it's very important. I like to go back and look to see my progress. Progress photos just are so inspiring. This garden, oh my gosh, it's still kind of a hot mess, but holy cow, you should have seen it in February. It was such a mess. I had cardboard and, oh, I'll show the pictures one of these days. But yeah, and I look at it now and I'm like, holy cow, it's only been like 6 months and I have done a lot. And it just makes me feel good and makes me want to keep going, right? Okay, so here we are, number 6. This is the most important thing. And if you don't do anything else in your garden, I want you to pay attention to number 6. Number 6 is enjoy your garden. Just take the time to be in your garden, not working in your garden. And I know that's kind of the antithesis of, everything else I've been talking about, but it really is so important. You have been working on it, you've been dreaming about it, you've been putting in the effort, and I can't tell you how many gardeners I know, people who have the most beautiful, lush gardens, and you talk to them and they're like, yeah, I don't really spend any time in my garden. Something nice to look at out my window when I'm washing dishes in my kitchen. But I, can't remember the last time I just went out and sat and, had a cocktail or, read a book just in my garden. And I think that's so, so, so important. Use it as an extension of your home, have your friends out there, have your family out there. Go spend some time with your dog out there. And I'm not just talking about, doing a walkabout and picking weeds. And, I know you're saying I'm a gardener. Of course I'm in my garden. I'm talking about not being a gardener and just being a guest in your own garden. To me, that's the most important thing. It's why we do this, because we love nature. Pollinators are, kind of the focus of my garden. I love to come sit out in the morning on my pergola with my coffee and just watch the hummingbirds and the butterflies, and really starting to enjoy bees, which I used to not be a big fan of, but now I love. It's just such an important thing. So if you do anything, if you don't do anything else, spend time in your garden. So hopefully this was helpful. I've got some new videos coming out over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've talked about, some of these different projects, my mulching method, my very easy, quick and dirty mulching method, because I'm getting ready for my fall beds myself. And I hope to see you back here. If you've made it this far, I'd love it if you gave me a little thumbs up and give me a subscribe. It really helps my channel a lot. And hopefully you learn something and get some ideas. So if you know what you're going to be doing in your garden, or if any of this has inspired you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to see what you have to say.